Hello and welcome my Gemini collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs. Welcome to your soulmate reading for March 2020 or timeless. Whenever you're meant to see it is when you are meant to see it. I am your reader, Mark Angela Lyons, Mal for short. President of Joining the Circle Productions, professional witch, professional intuitive, and damn happy to be working from home. You know what's going on the planet right now. And I'm not going to say what it is because apparently it gets you demonetized. So that's okay. I'm cool. I am Coca-Cola. And I'm showing my guns. Yeah, I've been doing push-ups, man. Wim Hof method. Yeah, Wim Hof. If you know what I'm talking about. If you don't bother. It's okay. You're an air sign. You'll come across it eventually if you are supposed to. Let's get down to business, shall we? This is a general read. Please take what resonates, leave what does not, and check your other signs, which is why I try and keep them fun and informative while my guides work through me, right? And also, if you're new to my channel, please do like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and please comment. I love when people comment on the vids, because otherwise it's like being dropped down into a Nora Ephron movie for like 2 scenes, and then you get whipped right out, and you don't get to see what happens. So, yeah, let me know what's going on, if any of this resonates for you, what you see going on for yourself that is very, very cool on my end, right? But if you can't share it, I get that too. Because this is a soulmate contract read. Soulmates are particular types of soul contracts where you help each other heal, right? And you have soulmate contracts with family members, right? Not all of them. Some of them are twin flames, but soulmate's very different than twin flames. But you don't just have one per lifetime. You have many, many soulmates. But these readings are specifically geared towards the romantic, intimate, sexual soulmate contracts, because those are the ones we've been working on for thousands of years. My mom and I are soulmates. I adore her. I'm going up to see her and my stepfather Monday through Thursday. I will be taking tech with me, so I'll still be recording. We'll see how much I get done. But this is about, you know, the more intimate, romantic, sexual ones that we've been working on for thousands of years, considering the state of psychology of how that's evolved, right? Just the idea of passive-aggressive and codependent and all of that, relatively new to the timeline of humanity, right? So to help each other heal in the romantic, sexual way is it's something a lot of us have been working on this planet, because you imagine all them healthy, happy, healthy, wealthy, wise, sexual, intimate, romantic couples going on the planet would change radically the amount of love that would come in. Cool. And also open the paths for others to do the same. So we are going to do this by looking at 2 people, 2 parties, party number 1 and party number 2, in a contract, right? My stepfather's a lawyer. I was raised with contract law around me all the time, apparently. So we are going to define them as divine feminine and divine masculine. I am never talking about bodily gender. That'll get you canceled, right? So it's going to take a little intuition on your part to kind of feel out which one you are in the beginning. There'll be plenty of cards to help clarify who is who. But if you can stay focused on your breath as you go into the stillness of the present moment, you'll be able to tune more what's going on in your body, how the energy and the information feels in your body. That's how you'll know what resonates, right? In a way than just guessing with the mind. Cool. So let's take a few deep breaths and get down to business. We're going to start with 2 Caroline Myss archetype cards, one for the divine feminine, one for the divine masculine. And then I'll call out the other decks as I go. Yeah, everything's in the description box at the bottom if you want more information about the decks and the books that I wrote and the videos that I do on VIMEO.com and all that. Cool, cool. Nice deep breath. Let's do this, my air signs. I love you. Both of you. Here we go. My collective pantheons of angels, goddesses, gods, masters, and the higher selves have all evolved. Please, 2 cards, one for the divine feminine and one for the divine masculine in this Gemini collective. Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs in their soulmate contracts. This soulmate contract, please, for March 2020 or timeless, please. One for the divine feminine, thank you very much. And one for the divine masculine. Thank you very much. That was interesting. Just gave me a little image of a divine masculine. Don't know who that was, though. So before I flip these over, do keep in mind that the Caroline Myss archetype cards have two things written on them. One, the shadow attribute, and the other, the light attribute. Archetypes are neutral. They are a balance of light and dark, lead and gold, toxic and healthy. You get the idea. So the shadow is supposed to be a little triggery because it's the stuff you don't want to look at within yourself or anybody else for that matter, right? Or stuff that you want to keep hidden even if you are aware of, right? You push it back into the shadow. So let's see who we got here. Who's our lucky, happy, healthy, wealthy, wise soulmate contract couple? Oh boy, we have got the Advocate and the Addict. Wow. Okay, now look, the Addict archetype we will talk about. Don't freak out. Because again, as dark as the shadow is as bright as the light is, they're always balanced and neutral that way. But this is what's being healed, right? This is what you're helping each other heal in the soulmate contract, right? We'll get to him. I always do ladies first, even though we're not talking about biological gender. The shadow attribute of the Advocate archetype. Embracing negative causes or committing to causes for personal gain. We see it all the time, right? When people get exposed in the news and whatever, they get canceled, right? And so definitely in the shadow, right? Embracing negative causes or, committing to something because you're getting paid under the table. Otherwise, you would never advocate or be an advocate for that kind of cause. Oh, I thought this was turned down. I am so sorry. I am so sorry. The protocols that I have to go through to get all my tech together, really, for a Gen Xer, it's a bit much to ask. The light attribute inspires you to put compassion into action. That's brilliant, right? That's such a great thing because advocacy, the way I learned it, it's giving voice to those who don't have voices, right? Do you know how many friends I know who are like animal advocates, right? Of all different types of animals. It's beautiful, but some of them go to the point of rescuing, although the rescuer is an archetype unto itself and actually in this deck. So when we're dealing with the Advocate here for the divine feminine, the compassion being put into action is a big thing, but particularly when dealing with an addict, it can be a tricky, slippery slope, right? Where are your boundaries? So let's look at what this addict is because, we immediately jump to drugs and alcohol. So if you're the divine feminine or the divine masculine here, like, well, I don't drink, I don't smoke. Well, what do you do? Goody two-shoes, adamant. Don't be so adamant about it. Because remember, codependence, it's a form of addiction. It is an addiction. And just as destructive as drugs and alcohol long term. It might take a little bit longer to wear you down and burn you out, but it's a killer of dreams, right? Because you can't make your own choices and your own decisions without taking everybody else in the relationship, even the friends in the relationship, into consideration, right? So the only one who needs to feel good about your choices is you for that codependent thing, and that is a hard-won lesson, right? So the shadow attribute of the addict, which I'm sure we're all well aware of, compromises integrity and honesty. Addicts lie. They just do. Allows an addictive pattern to have authority over your inner spirit. In other words, your soul is saying, please, can we get out of here? There's so much more out there we want. And you're like, but no, I have to stay here. Womp, womp, right? Or, then maybe there is the drug alcohol component there. It's just that the drug and alcohol part of it is so visible that people forget about like the legal addictions, like food, like sex, like working out, like workaholism. You can make anything an addiction. Watching TV, Netflix, right? Binging every single day. What are you escaping? What are you medicating in the shadow? But the light attribute, this is magnificent. Helps you recognize and confront addictive behavior, not just in yourself, but in others, right? So that's why there are so many recovering or recovered, I like using the word recovered, addicts that turn around and help people. So if these two can really help each other, I mean, this is a satisfying, happy, healthy, wealthy, wise, intimate, sexual, romantic soulmate contract. So, of course, they're going to help each other heal. That's the nature of the soul contract themselves. But then understand, a soul contract can be for a reason, a season, or a lifetime, right? They're none of them are forever. Sooner or later, somebody's going to croak, right? That's just how it goes. Spoiler. Now, if those two archetypes still might be a little puzzling, because, by the way, we all have addictions. he said while drinking his coffee. We don't think of caffeine as an addiction because it's legal, right? Because everybody does it. Well, not everybody does it. Really, coffee, caffeine, tea, whatever it is you're drinking, high sugar drinks, right? To medicate your own fatigue, right? Rather than to detox that stuff. So I'm just as guilty of that myself, but it is, I quit smoking, so let me have my coffee, thank you very much. So what we're going to do to clarify these, we're going to use 5 cards from the Daughters of the Moon Tarot with the element spread, and for the Divine Feminine Advocate, and 5 cards from the Mythic Tarot, Juliet Sharman Burke's deck, love that deck, for that Divine Masculine Addict. Remember, this addict might be completely recovered, but, you know, like, people in recovery will still call themselves recovering addicts. So that would be something I could see in a reading, helping them identify with who they are in this, as well as that they are aware of, you know, what these addictions are within people. They know when they see them, when they smell them, when they feel them, right? So let's do the element spread. Fire, earth, air, water, spirit. I'll call it out as I go. We're going to start with the Divine Feminine. Please take a nice deep breath. My goddesses, please. Top 5 cards, element spread for this Divine Feminine Advocate in this Gemini collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign. Happy, healthy, wealthy, wise, intimate, romantic, sexual, satisfying soulmate contract for March 2020 or timeless. Please, fire, what does she want? Earth, what does she have? Air, what does she think? Water, what does she feel? Spirit, what is the voice or the point of view of her soul in all of this? Please, my goddesses sacred, my collectives of the Divine Feminines, please, clean cut, Maiden, Mother, Crone. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Now, I'm just going to do the same for this deck, so this way I can pull 1 card each at the same time. You'll see, I love doing it this way. I don't think I'll go back to doing them all one and then all the other. I like doing them at the same time. It's easier to compare. Breathe. I know, at the speed I speak, you'd think I would have some planets in Gemini, not a damn thing. 11th house, though, helps me communicate to the world. My gods, oh, please, my gods, element spread, top 5 cards for this Divine Masculine Addict in this Gemini collective, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign, sexual, intimate, romantic, happy, healthy, wealthy, wise, satisfying soulmate contract for March 2020 or timeless. Please, top 5 cards. For him, fire, what does he want? There he is. Fire, what does he want? Earth, what does he have? Air, what does he think? Water, what does he feel? Spirit, what is the point of view or the voice of his soul in this soulmate contract for March 2020 or timeless? Sun, Father, Sage. Very, very nicely done. Let's look. Here we go. We're going to start with the element of fire. What do they want? The Divine Feminine and the Divine Masculine. Okay, both water cards. So they want something emotional. We've got the 6 of Cups, compassion, emotional balance. Such a beautiful card. And we've got the Scorpio card, the Queen of Cups. Now, if this Divine Feminine is a Scorpio, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, whoever, whatever, that could certainly be for some of you. The Divine Masculine, that might help you identify which one you are here in terms of your desire, what you burn for. But also this Scorpio energy, put in context of addiction, this is about money, sex, and power, right? Other people's resources, the subconscious pain, perhaps, the deep subterranean water of things that we might not be aware of that kind of drive us emotionally. So the desire for that would be to clear that up, to go deeper, to have a deeper emotional experience, healing, clearing, balancing. And do keep in mind, Scorpio, 8th house, other people's resources that is about hopefully a healthy exchange rather than something toxic, something balanced, right? So, by the way, I want to say she's got the card of compassion, and the light attribute is about putting compassion into action, literally written on the card. So we've already got some, I call it minor synchronicities going on here. Major synchronicities if this divine feminine happens to be a Scorpio for some of you, right? I trust that cards come out the way that they're supposed to, and they mean things to different people, but not always across the board for everybody who's watching. So what's going on in the element of Earth? What do they have to help them achieve what they want? Well, she's got the Two of Cups, second water card for her. So the divine feminine advocate, she's in love right now. She's at least in the emotional attraction phase of love. I hear readers on YouTube saying, oh, it's Two of Cups, it's true love. It's a 2. Give me a 10, then I'll look at 2, at true love, with the 10 of Cups somewhere in the spread. That's me personally. Every reader reads differently. But to get that whirlpool, the Two of Cups, two things as far apart as possible, but the divine plan bringing them closer and closer and closer together until they doink, do that. Doink, in case you missed the sound effect. And he's got the Magician, our first major arcana card in the spread. So what he's got is his own will and decision and power of manifestation to bring things into form. This is Hermes standing at a crossroads using, well, it's interesting, the imagery they use. They've got the sword, right, element of air. The wand that they use there is the caduceus, interestingly enough, using that as a, which is Hermes, that belongs to Hermes, the cup for water and the pentacle. So at a crossroads, which decision, what choice, a little bit different than the Lovers, but definitely in terms of what wants to be brought into manifestation by aligning the 4 elements with the 5th, hence the sort of Saturday Night Fever, John Travolta stance there, channeling the as above into the so below, or perhaps vice versa. Interesting. This feels really good. Feels like he's willing. Is he able or ready? We'll see, but he's willing. What's going on in the element of air? What are they thinking? Okay, lovely. Her first major arcana card, the card of Temperance. So she is being balanced about this. She might very well be aware of possible addictions, past addictions, maybe even current, and the possibility of future addictions going on here. So Temperance, she is balancing her fire, her passion, her desire, possibly with this emotional attraction. But since we have the card of Compassion here, she wants very much to be compassionate and to help this one heal. Soulmate contract, but is really mentally trying to keep that all in balance, being a bit disciplined. Maybe because the Advocate by the way, the Advocate is the action family of archetypes. The Addict is the wild card, because you never know what to expect from an addict. We all have addictions. That's no shade on anybody. But mentally, she's really working hard to keep her own psychology clean and clear. Where he has the Page of Swords. Now, having an air card, like swords, swords are the element of air, in the air position speaks for itself, but this is, and I want to clarify when I say this word what I mean, an immature communication. That doesn't mean childish. It just means the beginning stages of. So perhaps these two know each other or know of each other, but the soul contract is already in play. He's like ready to make this decision to move forward, and it's going to change his life, but it's probably going to be him that makes the move. Remember, this could be a woman. They could both be women, right? Be man, woman, however you want to see that. But it can be that what he wants is the emotional depth and strength to do this in a healthy way, that Scorpio stuff. Keep in mind, Scorpio is ruled by the planet Pluto, the god Hades, one of my gods in my pantheon. So perhaps he's looking for some emotional transformation to kind of heal, transform his own emotional stuff rather than medicate and push it down, right? To sublimate. Interesting. But she's definitely got it for him. That Two of Cups, it's definitely a heart connection. Let's see what comes now with the predominance of water in hers and a touch of water in his. Let's see what's going on in the element of water. What are they feeling? Well, she's feeling a little oppressed, okay? What's he got? Well, and he's got the card of victory. Good. So he's moving forward in his healing process, but she's feeling a little bit emotionally repressed. Oppressed, not necessarily repressed. Well, the oppression is probably causing her to press down a lot of what her emotions are, hence this card of temperance, trying to balance her desire and her emotion. Chances are she has advocated for someone before and been horribly burnt, right? Whether it was an addict or not, a codependent, whatever. So we see a woman here buried under these rocks, these stones, but the stones have faces, right? Which means these are probably people, past experiences, emotional baggage, it's in the water field, that she is carrying with her, and possibly purifying, working through. Because yes, she could one at a time pull these rocks off of her and walk free from the burning village, as it were. By the way, there's a coyote in this, so definitely the mark of the trickster here. There was some sabotage, perhaps self-sabotage. But it is the card of the devil. In the Daughters of the Moon, she takes the devil card and splits it into the coyote woman, its own card, and the card of oppression. I wouldn't say this is easy for her to go through or easy to walk away from in terms of her own pain, but it feels like her own emotional baggage is really weighing on her here, feeling a bit trapped. She could extricate herself, but the work that it's taking might be formidable. All right? And he's got the Six of Wands. Now, that's emotional victory. You know, fire card, Six of Wands. Mind you, she has the Six of Cups. So definitely he's made some strides in his own emotionality, his own emotional healing, right? Perhaps facing his dragons, his demons, his monsters, his shadows, and coming out balanced, right? Not all the way home, but in that process of conquering and overcoming some of the very emotions that he might have been medicating through sex, drugs, rock and roll, call it what you want. Whatever the external thing is to try and augment, shift, heal, or repress the internal stuff. He's had some big breakthroughs here, which is lovely to see for anybody, let alone someone who's got the addict archetype in a spread. What's the voice of the soul, right? The card of spirit. Voice of the soul, perspective of the soul. Well, interesting. The Nine of Blades. Now, if you think of the Nine of Swords in the Rider-Waite Tarot, you've got that thoughts keeping you up at night, right? Which will pass, but in this deck it's called criticism. So perhaps the soul, the voice of the soul is saying, look within yourself. Whatever it is he's dealing with, what's going on in you, right? These are two major arcana cards, by the way, oppression and temperance. And yes, in her mind, she's seeking balance, but it might very well be with the card of criticism, not to be critical of, but to pay attention to detail. I always go back to critical care unit, right? Where they're watching everything that they can monitor about a patient in the critical care unit. I've known critical care nurses. Do you know how many nurses I have worked with in my lifetime? I'm like a healer that helps healers. Just kind of how it works in this life, both male and female, both as reader and as minister and, you know, teacher and all of that, counselor, spiritual counselor. So that thing of really paying attention, catch every trick, catch every hint. Maybe because this addict will backslide. Who doesn't? It's part of the divine plan. Our backslides, even those are scheduled, but it's for deeper learning, right? Do I have to use that image? It's like vacuuming and going over it a second, third, fourth time, right? Making sure that you get it all. And by the way, why should any addictive healing healing addiction process be once and done? There are layers to everything, right? It's like inner child work. You know, inner child work isn't a technique to me. Inner child work is a relationship with my own emotional field, my own emotional heart. That's not a once and done, right? So I feel like she needs to be a little compassionate with herself here, looking in and saying, look, I've got my own stuff here. And ultimately, at the end of the day, what compassion is for me, everybody is fighting a hard battle, right? Be kind. Everyone you meet is in a hard battle, struggling against something, and doing the best that they can, considering their level of awareness, right? Their level of consciousness, what pain they have in their pain body, all of that kind of stuff going on. So compassion really is the natural soul's response to things, but with that card of criticism really saying, focus, girl, focus, right? And what he's got is the Knight of Cups. I think he's ready to go. Now, if he does have codependent patterning there, you know, and aside from codependence, there is also romance addiction. You know, the biochemicals of romance, right? Oxytocin, right? There are people, and I've dated a handful of them, that really just love that initial stage of romance. And then once shit gets real, poof, they're gone, right? It's like, I'm not having fun anymore. I'm out of here, right? Well, they are addicted not necessarily to the person, but to the emotions that they're having, because emotions have biological components, physiological components. There's a lot of biochemistry with every emotion that you have, and it affects every cell in your body. So the Knight of Cups, the romantic card, the Piscean Knight, right, with the little fish jumping out of the water there. The Pisces energy, being that I'm a Pisces moon, I've learned a lot about it, is both the mystic, that which cultivates and craves intimate union with the divine, as well as the addict, who craves external substances, people, places, things, and experiences in order to sublimate, cover up, numb their own internal experience, painful or otherwise. Interesting couple. Challenges, sure, but with an advocate and an addict, aside from the assonance, which is the repetition of a vowel, I was raised by a teacher, that this is a soulmate contract. They can absolutely help each other heal, and that's why we are going to move on to our next deck. We have 5 more cards going to hit the table before we are done, 2 of which are the Healing with the Angels Oracle by Doreen Virtue. 1 for each of them. Since it's the Healing with the Angels Oracle, what is the angels, the healing angels that walk with them individually, that are also going to help each other heal in this soulmate contract? Nice deep breath. Let's ask the angels, shall we? My angels, please, 2 cards, 1 for this divine feminine advocate, 1 for this divine masculine addict in this Gemini collective, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign, happy, healthy, wealthy, wise, sexual, intimate, romantic, satisfying soulmate contract for March 2020 or timeless. Please, 1 for her and 1 for, whoopsie, oh, I thought that shot out, and 1 for, there it is, I feel you, I felt you and you slipped away. Oh, Mercurial addict archetype. Come on, 1 for him, please. My angels, thank you. That was tricky. She popped right out. He's a little reticent, considering he's the one who seems to be ready to go for it. Okay. She's got the angel of children. Now, she may have children. That's a valid interpretation. So she has to kind of keep all that in balance with this temperance, and perhaps like really focus on what's going on with your kids. Are you ready to introduce them to this new person in your life? This does feel relatively new with that Page of Swords and his air thing. It feels like they might have had a very, like I said, immature, but in terms of a seed, not an oak tree, right? An acorn, not an oak tree. It can grow into deeper communication, certainly. But I'm also getting that part of what's holding her down here are oppressions from childhood. And we all have childhood wounds, right? We all have stuff from our when we were kids, even into our adolescence, particularly romantic sexual wounds of being rejected or wanting or being wanted only for our appearance or our sexuality. Not much soul stuff going on there. So perhaps to focus on her inner child, right? To give some of that compassion to herself, to look inward, to know that she's not this great, high, holy, completely healed advocate come to the rescue of this addict, but that this is it may start out a little codependent, but they're going to help each other heal. It's going to be that partnering in terms of their healing through the love that they share. He's got the card of blessings. So look, I'm going to say that this divine masculine addict archetype, considering he's got that card of victory, he's looking for something a little bit deeper. He wants something a little deeper, something a little bit more emotionally fulfilling. Has the tools, right? The magician, the fire, the earth, the air, the water. Return, to make this decision wisely and well. And really that romantic draw. So with blessings, that You know, he might have used some spirituality here. Like I said, the voice of the soul here, the point of view of the soul, the Knight of Cups, Pisces is the mystic or the addict. Well, he's got the addict. Maybe he's balanced it with the mystic. Something a bit more spiritual, something a bit more divine, right? I mean, the 12-step process, they call it higher power. Sometimes they call it God. But I know that whenever I have had an attachment issue, which is essentially what addictions are, using a slightly lighter language there, it's always been by me going to my gods, my angels, my masters, my higher selves, that they've given me step by step, certainly more than 12, to walk me through it, to really embrace what needed to be embraced within myself. That's why, you know, I named my home Elysia after the Elysian Fields, part of the underworld, the healing spa section of it. Got there. I go there so often, I got a speed pass. Don't even need to pay the ferryman anymore. Just go poop right across them. It's a great image, though. Hey, Charon, poop. Oh, that should be in an anime or something. All right, so we've got the children angel and the blessing angel. Let's see what the higher selves say through the Whispers of Love Oracle, which I adore. I adore this deck so much. So let's ask the higher selves of all involved, please. Nice deep breath. The higher selves of all involved. Please, one card each. One for the Divine Feminine Advocate, one for the Divine Masculine Addict. In this Gemini Collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign. Happy, healthy, wealthy, wise, intimate, romantic, satisfying, sexual soulmate contract for March 2020, or timeless. One for her, please, the Divine Feminine Advocate, and one for him, please, the Divine Masculine Addict. And remember, very much can be a healed addict, a recovered addict. I know people don't like using the word healed addict. I get it. But this feels like a healthy person, just particularly with that Six of Wands, that victory and emotion. Let's see what's going on here. She's got the union of hearts. There is a connection of love that defies explanation. Hence why the soul might be saying focus with that Nine of Blades. Like, focus, girl. There is purpose here. Do not seek reason. Reason is a human invention. The gods don't truck in reason. They truck in purpose. And people say, well, what's the difference? The difference is because we seek the reasons why things happen the way they do, and we'll never really find them in a way that's satisfying. But when we surrender to, okay, whatever this is, I'm fulfilling some divine purpose here, sometimes in retrospect we can look over our shoulders, right, and see it. So the union of hearts, there is a connection of love. There is a connection of love here that defies explanation. What has he got? Appreciate this moment. Each and every situation has an opportunity to grow and find love. So it feels like that might be something that's in his recovery process. I mean, look, like I said, we all have addictions. Maybe he has a bit of the romance thing, the romance attachment there. But for him to really just enjoy this process, right? It's fine to want more, right? To want something deeper, but to appreciate these initial stages, because appreciation is like praise. It sort of like raises things up. To me, the word praise is a combination of the word prayer and raise, right? So it's sort of like elevates things a little bit. So to really appreciate this moment of what's going on, these initial connections can be sort of some of the sweetest. But then, of course, you move on to something deeper, but don't just dive into the deep end right away, right? One more card left. Healing Mantra deck from the Matt Kahn Healing Mantra deck. Just said that twice. The Ascended Masters of Soulmate contracts. Yes, they specialize. There are Ascended Masters for Twin Flame contracts. There are Ascended Masters of Soul contracts in general, not just soulmates, right? So let's have a look. Breathe. No matter who's watching this, Divine Feminine or Divine Masculine, working this mantra in the best ways that you can, it's individual for everybody, right, will help themselves heal, but will also help this soulmate contract help each other heal. It's a little circular, but I think you know what I meant. Let's do this. My Ascended Masters of Soulmate Contracts, please, one card in clarity. The perfect healing mantra, the most truly helpful healing mantra for this Gemini collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign. I'm feeling you in this happy, healthy, wealthy, wise, sexual, intimate, romantic soulmate contract for March 2020, or timeless. That's the one. I took the top card. What's going on here for these two? What is their healing mantra? Now, one side of the card is the mantra itself. The other side is the name of the mantra. That's all that's written on the card. So that's why I'm going to look it up in the book. Anchoring the light is the name of the mantra. The light is always within me. The light is always within me. The light is always within me. They're coming to get you, Barbara. Right? The light is always within me. Anchoring the light, because the light is always within us. Duh. Where are you? Come on. Anchoring the light. Not a terribly long one. The light is always within me. When you anchor the light, you are accepting the infinite life force of the universe as your guardian, navigator, and companion. As you anchor the light, you are no longer a person trying to find the deeper meaning of connection, because it defies explanation. Instead, Instead, you know yourself to be a living expression of connection simply appearing in human form, right? So there's a real divine thread going through this soulmate contract, which is true of all of them. But for this mantra to show up, no matter what darkness is going on here, and remember, she's got that card of oppression, that this would be really helpful. This mantra is ideal for overcoming fear, obviously, reducing cravings, addict, and making important life decisions, which does feel like he is at this crossroads, right? So anchoring the light is always within me. Let's pop up the picture with a lovely magic clap and see what else shows itself in the overview, shall we? Nice deep breath. Cup your hands. Magic clap. Oh, that's a good one. The divine feminine advocate archetype in her shadow, embracing negative causes or committing to causes for personal gain. Like if she's trying to get her stuff touched, right? Just as an example, the light attribute inspires you to put compassion into action, which really feels more of her strength here, because in the Six of Cups, in the first position, the card compassion, right? That she very much wants this compassion, but it feels like this is going to have to be an equal give and take here. Not purely a healer-patient situation, but a symbiotic soulmate satisfying sexual, intimate, romantic soul contract going on here. And with that Two of Cups, in what she has, she's got it bad for this guy, or at least in those initial stages of infatuation, falling in love, that whirlpool drawing them both closer together and then deeper down into the emotions of the soul. And she's trying to keep her balance there, trying to be disciplined mentally, right? Watching her thoughts, balancing her emotions and her desires there. So this is someone who has done this before, so she kind of knows what to avoid, and is still carrying, one would think, with that oppression card in the emotional field, the element of water, kind of carrying some emotional baggages, some past relationships she might not have processed all the way through. Perhaps even going back to her childhood with that children card there in the center. And you know, all sorts of relationships in our childhood affect our adult relationships. So it would make sense that the soul is saying, with that Nine of Blades criticism, to focus inward, really deal with that child, talk to that child. It's not like the child has to be perfectly healthy before you go any further in a relationship, but it is a relationship unto itself within that affects all other relationships. With that children card there from the Healing of the Angels Oracle, keeping in mind that the higher self says this is the union of hearts. There's a connection of love that defies explanation. So it may call upon that healthy child to have that innocence, to have the new beginning here, and to process some of that emotional pain so that she could be more at ease with this. Now, jumping over here to the divine masculine addict archetype in the shadow, compromises integrity and honesty. I mean, I have dated a lot of addicts in my life, and they've all lied, right? Codependent. I've dated heroin addicts, didn't know I was a heroin addict until he was a heroin addict, until afterwards. But even compulsive liars, people who are really addicted to the thrill of lying. Really, the path of true love has been a rough one. Allows an addictive pattern to have authority over your inner spirit. So definitely, though you may know better, divine masculine in the shadow, these addictions, it really allows them to have power over you. The light attribute, though, helps you recognize and confront addictive behavior within yourself as well as in others. Let us not forget that. Which, does indicate with this Scorpio card, the Queen of Cups, that emotional interaction with other people, other people's resources, money, sex, and power, right? That's what he wants. Something a bit more emotional, perhaps a bit of intensity going on there, and maybe something that's a little bit more private and intimate than just friends. And what he has to get him there is the card of the Magician. Now look, if you're talking law of attraction and love spells and all that stuff, I think when it comes to soulmate contracts, this stuff is already scripted. So you're going to go through it the way that the gods want you to go through it. But that doesn't mean you can't have your tools sharpened and ready, right? Your sword, your wand, your cup, and your pentacle aligned with spirit. In other words, your air, your will, your water, your form, your conduct, all in alignment with your better angels, your higher self, etc. And with that Page of Swords in the mental field, certainly thinking about saying something, but it's probably going to come out, naive's not the word, innocently, right? That innocent think of, well, would you be interested in going out? Something that's a seed, not a tree, right? Not a gigantic diatribe, not a soliloquy, a monologue, but like a hi. Right? A little mustard seed that gives birth to billions of mustard seeds over its life and maturity. With that Six of Wands in the emotional field, definitely has done some emotional healing work here, has some victory, has really overcome quite a bit, and maybe is feeling that sense of confidence with the result of some of the inner work that he's done, and maybe even some of the outer work of what he's been able to deal with emotionally in his life. And with that Knight of Cups, the knights on horseback but they run at different speeds, right? The Gemini Knight of Cups, immutable air, is the gallop. The Sagittarian, the Knight of Wands, is the canter. The Knight of Cups, Pisces, is the trot, and Virgo is the walk, right? The Knight of Pentacles. So willing to kind of trot along, not exactly high speed, but not at a snail's pace either. And with that angel card of blessings there right in the center, so beautiful, really the angel paving the way with flower petals, that there is a blessed path. This one is walking the blessed path, and like I said, since the voice of the soul there, the Knight of Cups Pisces, is the addict and the mystic, perhaps this is more the mystic that is working with blessings. Maybe there is a spiritual bend, a spiritual practice here of blessing, or that is a blessing. And the voice of the higher self, the whisper of love, saying, appreciate this moment. Each and every situation has an opportunity to grow and find love, which is definitely a good part of any recovery process, to see everything as happening for you instead of to you, for your own growth, development, evolution, and depth of love. And what is the mantra that will help them heal each other and themselves? Anchoring the light. The light is always within me. The light is always within me. The light is always within me, which is definitely going to put them in touch with the quantum field, their destiny, the path of true love, their higher self, and the truth of who they are. Because we are the light. We are the subatomic particle. We are the E that equals MC squared, the spirit that manifests in form. And it feels like with an advocate and an addict, a huge amount of healing can be done for them individually, together as a couple, and for the collective of humanity and life on planet Earth. Because really, compassion put into action with anyone's addiction, let alone your own or the addictions of the world, that's pretty global stuff there. So there you have it, my Gemini collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs. May you be blessed with all that you need in your soulmate contracts for March 2020 or timeless whenever you are watching this, that you may grow, may you heal, may you become the best that you can be and fulfill your role in the divine plan and in this soulmate contract ongoing for the well-being of all. So mote it be. And so it is. Thank you so much for watching. Please do like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, comment in the description box below, because I love hearing little bits and pieces of the story, right, from you all, my YouTube subscribers and hopefully new subscriber here. But for now, wishing you the very best and the very blessed in your soulmate contracts. Hail, farewell, and blessed be.